Hey guys, no Zoup for you here, and today we are going to take a no BS look at a new Russian premium ship that is going to be soon available for purchase. It might actually be available right now, don't know yet. Anyhow, we're going to take a look at the Krasnyi Krym today, if that's how I pronounce it correctly. Krispy Kreme, maybe? I'm just going to call it the Cream for short, just to make things easy on myself. I don't like butchering other nations' languages. Anyhow, the Krym is a Tier 5 Russian cruiser. I'm going to take a look at the history real brief. I'm also going to take a look at the pros of the ship, the cons of the ship, and as always, I'm going to give you a recommendation as to whether or not I think you should purchase the ship. So, history of the Krym. The Krym is actually a Svetlana class cruiser. In fact, it is the Svetlana. It had two names over the course of its history prior to becoming the Krym. The Svetlana and then Profiteern. If I'm pronouncing that correctly, probably not. Anyhow, the ship itself had pretty much the typical Russian career for Navy ships in World War II. It did a lot of convoy duty in the Atlantic. It also helped support troops. There was one incident where it actually evacuated 2,000 troops or helped to do so. Anyhow, towards the end of World War II, Stalin decided that he was losing too many Navy ships, and as a result, he said, hey, guess what? I'm not going to use my ships anymore. We're going to keep them at home and use it to protect the motherland. Thus was the end of the Krym's career. So, how does the Krym play in game? Well, I'm going to start with the cons because I usually do that, and I hope I don't spend too much time on this section because there are quite a few of them. Honestly, as far as ship selection goes, I do not know what Wargaming was thinking when they produced this ship. Other than maybe that. And I don't want to be too harsh, but to me it just does not make sense to include this ship into the game, especially since you already have the Svetlana, and in my opinion this ship is really nothing more than a Tier 5 St. Louis. It operates very similarly to the St. Louis. You've got 8 guns on both sides, which is kind of cool. It's a lot of fun. But the problem you're going to find with the Krym is that it's outgunned for its tier at Tier 5, but it's too powerful to be a Tier 4 ship. So it's kind of a little in between right there. Your guns barely eke out 14 kilometers. That's a big con, especially in Tier 5. Your speed is okay-ish, about 30 knots. Nothing special for a cruiser. I mean, that's kind of expected, and most Russian ships are faster than that usually. Your armor is non-existent at right around 24,000 hit points, so you have to play very meticulously. You have to plan your routes or you're going to find yourself getting hammered by just about every ship in the game. And when I say every ship in the game, I mean it. In the rounds that you find yourself against Tier 3 ships, funny I mentioned the St. Louis because the St. Louis can actually give you a good go. The St. Louis was landing decent shots against me in a round. Unfortunately, going back at the St. Louis, I wasn't having the same amount of luck. Your AP is horrid against ships of your same tier or higher. It's barely going to put a dent in them. And HE, yeah, you can fire a lot of HE off, but the problem is, if you land it, your fire chance isn't that great, though when you're firing 8 guns per side, even landing 8 rounds does give you somewhat of a chance, but still, you're not a fire starter, so your HE is basically pea shooters. Low damage, high rate of fire. On top of that, add to that a surface detectability of 13.5 kilometers, which is not that good for a ship like that. It's a recipe for disaster. You really have to play on your toes if you want to survive, if you want to win. That's not to be said you can't have fun in the Krym. You can. The pros, again, you've got 8 guns on both sides, which is awesome. Again, everybody loves the St. Louis. It's a lot of fun. So having a St. Louis in Tier 5 can be a lot of fun. If you do get into range of ships that are prior occupied by other ships, you can do a lot of damage just by your extreme rate of fire and setting fires. But again, it's getting there that's a hard part. You really, as I said, have to play meticulously. You have to plan your routes, and you got to be sure that you do not wander into too many enemies because you're not going to last that long. So Another thing that's kind of a pro is you have torpedoes. That's really cool. Most Russian cruisers do. Of course, the downside again is 3.7 kilometer range. What are you going to do with those torpedoes? Pretty much nothing. Very fast, but very short range. So even the pros have cons to them. Now, I mentioned that I don't believe the Krym should be tier 5. I stand by that. The Kirov is a much better ship at its tier level. In fact, it's probably one of the best ships at that tier level. The Krym, not so much. So again, I kind of question the thought process in putting this ship in the game. It just doesn't make sense right now with so many cool ships on the verge of coming out, and the lineage of this ship already in game, as the Svetlana we know is already in the game. So, do I recommend purchasing this ship? Well, I'm going to be blunt. No. Not unless you're a collector. Not unless, like Pokemon, you got to catch them all. I would not purchase the Krym. I would save your money towards a ship like the Scharnhorst, which is coming out soon. And my German followers out there, please help me. Tell me if I'm pronouncing these things correct. I got a feeling I'm pronouncing it wrong. Anyhow, save your money for ships like that. Hold on to your money. I doubt that the Krym is going to cost a lot. So, you know, if it's in that $10, $15 price range, and you've got the extra cash laying around and you want a premium port to go along with the ship, sure, go for it. But if you are really tight on cash and don't want to give it up, I would probably pass on this ship. Again, I don't know why this ship is even in the game. It's just not that good of a ship. You can have really good rounds in it. I know people who've got Krakens, Little White Mouse. Again, go check out what she has to say about it on the forums. As always, she gives a really good, more in-the-depth look at the ship, whereas I'm just kind of that high 5,000 foot overview. But she didn't have a lot of good things to say about it. Actually, I don't think many of the contributors out there have a lot of good things to say about it. It's just really not that good of a ship. I mean, you've got decent AAA, AAA. No, we're not talking about AAA. We're talking about AA, anti-aircraft fire. It's got decent AA. Aside from that, there's not a lot going for it. St. Louis in tier 5. What do you expect? So, does not have my definite buy recommendation, sorry to say. There you have it. That's the Krym. We've got a lot of better ships coming up soon. We've got the German battleship line. That I'm looking forward to. Word on the street is those are going to be pretty fierce. So, pass on the Krym. Wait for the good stuff. That's all I gotta say. Anyhow, guys, thanks for watching. As always, this has been No Zoup for you. Stay tuned for other videos like Real Warship Genius, and I will catch you all later. Zoup out.